Are we talking about taking Kiev, the capital, or are we talking regime change, do you think?
It is a scenario. It's not certain that this is the objective that Putin will order, but it is one that certainly U.S. intelligence and Western partners have warned about as a distinct possibility. I think that the U.S. and allies are still holding out hope that it does not come to that. I think the fact that the sanctions that have been announced within the past day have left in reserve even more severe measures than what we've seen before suggests that there is still some hope that there is some sort of deterrent effect. In addition to that, I think there's simply going to be watching to see what happens on the ground. But the fact is right now, we don't know how far those orders are going to take Russian troops.
And do the current round of Western sanctions, Zachary, change the calculus on the ground for President Putin in any way at all?
They will raise the cost for Putin, but I do not think that they are a deterrent for him. Everything that Putin has said this week has suggested that he's going to make up or not make up his mind based on his own priorities. He suggested in his comments that he's going to get sanctioned no matter what. And I think at this point, Putin is thinking further afield toward this legacy. What we've seen happen within the past 2 years since the election of President Volodymyr Zelensky is first Russia had its hopes raised that it was possible that this could be someone they could work with, that could unblock the Minsk II peace process that governs the resolution of the conflict in eastern Ukraine. And instead, Zelensky has gone from being what was thought of in Russia as a Russian-speaking, perhaps even Russian-tolerant president to a vehemently anti-Russian president. And I think that Putin is calculating that he is at risk of losing Ukraine and does not want that to be on his legacy.
Zachary, do the Western allies have the capacity then to go further with sanctions and impose direct, outright restrictions on Russian oil and gas, which would deprive Russia of crucial revenue, or would that risk a major price shock if OPEC don't step up?
So I see the next measures in the US and EU sanctions package as expanding in the financial sector. It is entirely possible that Russia's largest retail banks could be a target, depending on how far Russian troops move into Ukraine. I think that there's also a package of export controls on technology, especially semiconductors and chips, that the U.S. has in reserve to roll out. I don't think that energy directly is going to be next on that package of measures. If Russia does attempt to move troops towards Kiev, does attempt to move towards regime change, it's possible that sanctions will touch deeper into the energy sector. But this is in recognition, though, that the European Union is still dependent on Russian gas, and I think that there's greater resistance towards moving to that step at this stage. But it's very difficult to say just what won't be off the table in that worst-case scenario, given that we're really in uncharted waters here.